Crouse.
Hey, movie lovers, welcome back to Entertainment Extra.
It's a good end of August at the theaters.
Well, there's a couple of things here. Actually, you know, of the three movies that I'll tell you about today, I can't tell you about Colombiana because it wasn't screened for the press, but the three that I can tell you about, Our Idiot Brother, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, and The Guard, there's not one of them here that, depending on whether you want to see a comedy or a horror movie or just a really great movie, that I wouldn't tell you to go see. So,
My goodness.
Yeah, I'll start with Don't Be Afraid of the Dark.
I am afraid of it.
I know. Well, you know what? This movie is a reimagining of a 1973 TV movie that scared the heck out of me when I was a kid.
The bejesus?
Yeah, it really did. And it's been sort of reshaped and remodeled for a new audience and a 2011 audience by Guillermo del Toro, who produced this movie.
Masterful.
Yep. So the first hour is, you know, sort of the setup. So you have Guy Pearce playing an architect who takes over this big, spooky old Gothic mansion in Rhode Island, and he's essentially going to flip it. He's going to bring it back to its former glory, get a spread in Architectural Digest, and then sell it for a whole lot of money. So his new wife, Katie Holmes, is with him, and his daughter from his previous marriage, played by Bailey Madison, also comes. What he doesn't realize about this beautiful old house is that it has a history and that there are creepy crawlies living in the basement who have a taste for little girls. So the first hour of this movie is Bailey Madison staring blankly into the darkness while little voices go, "Why don't you come down and play with us?"
Why
and
is
it's
it always
little,
the children?
Yeah, well, it's a little because they're vulnerable, and that's what makes horror, you know, sort of gives you that little creep up the back of your spine. So that happens in the first hour. And so it's a little slow. It's atmospheric. It's kind of interesting. It really picks up in the second half when the creepy crawlies start to make an appearance. And I'll tell you, you know, it builds very slowly, but it builds up to a good climax.
Always the most important thing in a horror movie with a child in it. How good is the child?
She's good. Bailey Madison has this face that is very expressive, and when she looks scared, you really believe it.
See, and that to me has to sell it. There's a reason that I See Dead People work so well, because Haley Joel Osment was great in the role.
Well, you got to have creepy kids, right? It's the creepy kid movie, and the kid has to look suitably creeped out. So
how's Our Idiot Brother?
Our Idiot Brother is a little different Paul Rudd kind of comedy than you would imagine. It's not Anchorman. It is not The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Is it I Love You Man?
It's not I Love You Man either. This is a really character-based indie comedy about an organic farmer, the nicest guy on the planet, a guy who sees the best in everyone, so much so that when a uniformed cop comes to his organic food stand and wants to buy some weed because he's feeling a little stressed out, Paul Rudd sells it to him and ends up in jail. So when he gets out of jail, he spends time, he doesn't have anywhere to live, so he spends time with his three sisters, Elizabeth Banks, Zooey Deschanel, and Emily Mortimer, and from bouncing from couch to couch, essentially, and causing chaos wherever he goes, because they're not used to people who tell the truth, who, you know, see the best in people, and generally are sort of a nicer person than they're used to having around. And I'll tell you, this isn't laugh out loud funny. This isn't slap your knee funny, but Paul Rudd's really good in it, and the sisters are great, so that's worth your money. And then there's The Guard. The Guard sounds like a Steven Seagal movie. So you've got, you know, a renegade cop, a straight-laced FBI agent, and some drug dealers, and they all converge. You think, oh, when's Steven Seagal going to show up? Except that this is the complete opposite, because it's set in a small town in the west of Ireland. Don Cheadle is the FBI agent, and Brendan Gleeson, who is the reason to see this movie, plays a cop who isn't so much a renegade cop as he is a cop who doesn't really care so much about the job. He cares more about drinking pints at the local pub and visiting with escorts. But this is a very funny movie that has a lot of substance to it, and the reason to see it is Brendan Gleeson, who was awesome in this. If you saw him in Bruges, you'll know exactly what I mean. So The Guard, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, and Our Idiot Brother, it's a pretty good weekend at the movies.
It is.
Richard Crouse.